Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's Wednesday. Let's take a look at some altcoin charts. Things are mildly lukewarm, heating up, kinda, sort of. Looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, it's still Bitcoin season, regardless of what's going on anywhere else. And you'll notice, and you've noticed, once that Trump coin hit the market, liquidity sloshed around from other alts into Trump. And so that's not going to help dominance go lower. It's going to take either capital moving away from Bitcoin into alts or outside stablecoin, exogenous, whatever, money moving in directly to alts or ETFs, right? So we haven't had any of that on a relative basis to push this lower. We may eventually see some sort of Bitcoin wealth effect and rotation into alts. We just really haven't seen that yet. So using this metric still favors BTC for the moment. Now, does it look weak? Does it look like dominance is ending its dominance, if you will? It does, but we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. Looking at total 2, including stables here on the cloud, similar to BTC, which I'll get to in a second, you're getting this potential TK crisscross here. It's nuanced, but basically it's just telling you intra-trend strength. As long as we're above the cloud, we are in a bull trend. If you're getting crisscrosses on the TK lines there, that says you're seeing weakness followed by a re-strengthening of the trend. So it's certainly leaning more bullish here than it had been, because up until December, everything just sort of drained out and it was sideways. It was momentumless. It was down. Trend was resetting back to neutral. And this is the early signs of bullishness again for alts based on the cloud. Additionally, on the liquidity front, for alts specifically, we are seeing increases in stablecoin issuance. And if we look at where that's coming from, it's actually coming more from USDC ultra recently, like as in the past couple days, past couple weeks, versus USDC. We saw those massive prints towards the end of Q4. Now, if you're an altcoiner, you don't care realistically where the liquidity comes from, as long as you're getting money into the ecosystem. Most of this money is in DeFi, specifically USDC, more so than Tether, which is used globally as a real deal currency. But it's interesting if we break apart the holdings of Tether and the holdings of USDC, if we want to get our political lens on or our business lens on, why is there no USDC issuance on Tron? Why is there no Tether issuance on Arbor Base, right? But looking at these collectively, you still have a couple standouts. That's ETH and Tron, Sol a distant third, and Arbor Base neck and neck there. Now, it's probably unfair to compare Tether to USDC directly because they frankly have different use cases. Like I said, Tether is more of a currency, less used in DeFi than USDC is, but on an individual chain basis, the chains that are winning have both issued on them. ETH, Sol, AVAX, Near, but that drops off quick. It's a long tail. It's a quick drop off there, right? Really, the only chains that really matter, I'd say anything above 2 billion in issuance on the stablecoin side. It'll be interesting to watch how this evolves throughout 2025. If we see, for instance, the Solana issuance on stables uptick significantly, that would be a very bullish sign for the Solana ecosystem. DEXs in that ecosystem. It would signify an increase in speculative activity, absolutely. But it's certainly a statement on what's going on that chain, right? Who's using it? If we look at total 2 relative to BTC, it's still rather murky on trend here. Trend is neutral, flat, sideways. This is good news in a sense that it's only really been bearish for many, many years. And now could be the time into the second half of the year, first half, we sort of bottom out, maybe in the second half. In a perfect world, then you see this Bitcoin wealth effect, this rotation. Total 2 BTC has bottomed at that point, but nothing here is screaming at me. This doesn't look like an exciting bottom just yet. If we want to look at some other alt type charts, ARKK continues to look good, continues to push higher on the weekly level. So there's clearly an appetite for speculation. This is UFO, the space ETF, and it's done really well since the cloud breakout down there at 18. So there's definitely a risk on sentiment if people are going this far out on the risk curve, right? Now, if we look at watches and maybe NFTs, it's kind of a different story. Watches making a new multi-year low there. And it's going to be interesting if these just get washed out till pre-COVID levels. We'll see. But as an index, not doing so hot. Before I go any further here, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro at the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Pair Adventures, Inc., PBI, DBA, Kraken. Looking at the old BTC, we do have, similar to Total 2, TK crisscross here. Prices are above the cloud. Great. We held above the cloud. I don't see this as some sort of Wyckoff distribution personally, but I'm no Wyckoff expert. It's always good to take multiple disciplines and lenses and see what is this anything here? Is this a chart pattern? Is this anything else on any other system? It's an early potential bullish continuation. That would be my read. If this does break higher, the expectation would be, based on the range, somewhere in the 120s would be the next place we would find resistance. So for alts, there should be a bullish expectation here. Now we know that when BTC is pushing all-time highs, alts have trouble. But once BTC settles into that next level, alts on balance tend to catch up. And when you're looking at individual alts, it's good to take the benchmark. It's good to take Total 2 and say, okay, does this look better or worse than Total 2? It certainly looks better than Total 2. Is this tradable up here? I don't know if it's necessarily tradable on the daily, but maybe there's an eventual move 3+ here on lower time frames. It's just tough because, again, Ripple moved very quickly higher. And for most people, they're going to be looking at this thinking, okay, how much more do we really want? Now, Ripple's going to be getting some positive headlines at XRP and Sol, CME futures announcement, which could lead to an eventual ETF. So that's certainly going to help price. So yes, this is bullish, but what is the trade here? I'm not so sure what the trade is here. For Sol, similar to Total 2, again, you're getting this TK crisscross, recross action. Certainly looks more bullish here than it's looked in a while. If we go to like the 3-day, you can see the breakout in October 23, the TK cross in July 24, the TK recross at the end of last year. And so far, so good. So far, so good on trend, on that reinvigoration of the bullish continuation. If you're bullish Sol and it's just staking and doing nothing, then you're probably viewing this as some sort of cup and handle with, I bring this up a lot, but you really have to shoot for crazy levels to still be holding here after the plus 1,000% return since 2023, based on on-chain activity, based on where retail is, based on where ETFs could be headed. Sure, if we get flows for Sol goes higher. And the technicals on trend here look good. But again, what's the trade this week, today, tomorrow, next week? I don't see a great setup other than we're on the bullish side of the trend again. ETH, the only thing I care about is 4K. I'll say that every video until we break it, or we don't. We get to the end of the year and we just aren't above 4K. But that's really the only level that matters for ETH. On the daily, it's going to look extremely messy. Zooming out a little bit, you can probably see that IHS a little easier. At least in my opinion, that's what this would qualify as. So any higher high is welcomed. Any scoop-de-whoop, bottomy thing is welcomed, but 4K is the level. That's the only thing that matters. I don't care about anything else fundamentally. I don't care about anything else on chain. I don't care about staking in the ETFs. None of that matters until we're above 4K. Now we may approach 4K with any good news, but can we break 4K? Can we hold that level? That's the most important thing. There's some argument to be made that you should just ignore this until not only are we at 4K, but potentially you get this throwback on the neckline at the 4K level. That would probably be the latest to enter. The earliest would be just at any point from now until 4K. But if you're trading ETH, you have to realize that you're probably going to underperform in the near term until ETH is above 4K. And if we look at Sol BTC, we had a move that was significant there, but still not above 0.027, which is the level I care about. I don't really care about anything else here. This kind of reminds me of the XLE chart where it had a fake out breakdown. It's at a similar spot in the ascending triangle, but that's the level to watch. Absolutely. For ETH BTC, I had talked about this potential inverted head and shoulders down here for quite some time, probably as early as November last year. Looked like it was really going to do it. It looked like it really had a chance here to make it through the cloud, didn't, and spilled lower. And now made a new multi-year low. Is this idea still active? Probably. It could be just a super messy bottom, whatever, at this point it's probably morphed into some sort of megaphone, expanding, broadening wedge, however you want to think about that, which is just a nightmare to trade because here at this point, you're just hoping that it bounces. And then what? If it doesn't, right? You just put a new stop loss at the next low, but that could be the ultimate low. It's not fun to trade this sort of thing. That's why I like it back up here. When it gets back up here, give me a shout, send me an email, do something. But until then, it's just a tough trade. This would probably coincide with ETH back somewhere around 4,000. For Doge, on the daily, also setting up for potential TK, crisscross, kind of a mess, kind of just sideways. Not really much going on there. Not really much to say or speak of at the moment. And that's okay. All these alts had a really great Q4 for the most part. They don't need to just continuously move 1,000% every month. Sui continues to impress me in that it looks like Netflix, right? Netflix, similar channel, similar idea, just continues to hold above the Kijun there, hold above the cloud, just a vanilla textbook bullish trend. What's the trade here though? I don't have a great trade or setup here based on trend metrics, other than it just looks fine. There's no negatives as far as that's concerned. Link also trying for that TK crisscross cloud breakout. Looks okay here, and similar to BTC, if this breaks up, maximum target 44 to 50, just measuring the depth of the previous range. Cardano looks like Link to me. Similar idea. Where does this go if this breaks up? Maximum expected zone would be 186 to 230, just based on the range there. Algo, same idea, similar. We're starting to get into all these charts look the same territory. A decent amount of chop solidation going on there. PEPE is in not the greatest part of the cloud. It's below the cloud on the daily at this point. Best case would be a falling wedge, which is possible, but this is getting uglier and uglier. And if it's competing with Trump or some other meme coin, it's just going to be a tough ask. Tau continues to drift lower. This is an avoid for me as long as it's below the cloud. That's just it. I don't really care if it bounces 15%. The system I'm using does not say buy here. Again, maybe this is some sort of falling wedge eventually, but it has traded rather technically since August, September 2024. If we go down a time frame, I don't think that's helpful either, but one thing you can always do with alts is trade them a little bit quicker than you would BTC. But even this is a mess. I mean, you've even got the case of maybe you're getting this down here, and that's just, there's nothing bullish about this that I see. Again, this could bounce 15% tomorrow. What do I know? But based on what I've seen historically, this does not look bullish to me in any regard. BONK back in the memes on the daily, just chop, tons and tons of chop. This thing has gone nowhere since March. It's had some crazy volatility, some crazy drawdowns. What is this? A 60% drawdown there, 76% there, 60% there. Not something I would sit in, but that's just me. LTC similar to Link, similar to Algo, similar to ADA, kind of just chilling up here above the cloud. Has a chance to break out on trend, but really hasn't done that since the beginning of the year. Deeper down the list into DeFi, Aave has done well on the daily cloud over time here. It's just so choppy. So it really depends on conviction in ecosystem and idea, and where do you think lending and borrowing protocols are going to fit in the new regulatory regime. This is a great setup for a cup, maybe an eventual handle here. What's the trade? I don't have any great ideas for Aave at the moment, but it certainly looks bullish. Stellar. When I see charts like this, and I've talked about this for Stellar before, it just feels like I missed the move. I mean, let's be honest. So maybe like Litecoin as a backdrop, if you were to compare this to Litecoin, the Litecoin's kind of, at the 15 cent level potentially for Stellar. to me, it's just a harder trade up here until this breaks that horizontal level. AVAX on the daily cloud, just chop, just pure chop. Nothing to speak of, nothing to say of anything here. Similar to ETH, maybe for AVAX, you want to see 50 to 60 first, just to see what's going on. But there's really nothing here. I mean, the best trade on AVAX last year was waiting for that bullish Kumo twist, bullish breakout, following that downtrend. And we're just not there yet on the daily. Not seeing it. Curve down a boatload today. A little bit of a descending triangle action. Doesn't look like anything immediately bullish to me there. So the setup would be down on curve. Jup, a lot of the Sol ecosystem moved quite a bit over the weekend. Jup just had an airdrop, I believe, as well. I am anti-airdrop, anti-staking, anti-hold this token forever while somebody else sells it on you. So I'm the wrong person to ask on that front, but trading this, I don't see anything that's hyper bullish just yet. I would want to see anything back above $1.25, something back above the range. I'm not somebody to sit here and hope that this is the bottom at 75 cents. That's just not me. But if you're a range trader, maybe you love it. Trend traders would avoid this. DOT looks horrific, much worse than everything else. Not something I would touch. Trend metrics just tell you to avoid completely. What else haven't we looked at here? Render, avoid below the cloud. I mean, this, if you're really doing a scan of most of this stuff in 2 seconds, does it have a chart pattern? Yes or no? Is it above the cloud? Yes or no? That's about it. That's about all I care about. Tia, maybe this is the bottom. I don't know, right? Again, if you're a range trader, if you like guessing at the bottoms with a new stop loss or a stop loss at new lows or all-time lows, then maybe you love this chart. But I'm not one to sit here and expect this to move and do well. That's just not me. Near chopping around below the cloud doesn't look super promising. Uni looks okay, but similar to curve, kind of leans bearish on the daily. On higher time frames, maybe you're hoping for a reconsolidation and a breakout above 15, but still very much in the range. I think if you're looking at alts right now, anything relative to ETH probably looks great. This is Link ETH. Looks amazing to me. One of the better looking charts. And most of the tech is just going to tell you to avoid ETH when you're stacking it up like this. Even Sol ETH has turned a corner, I do believe. Not a lot of trading history on Kraken, but back above the cloud there, back at local highs. Doesn't look bearish. Can't argue that this is bearish. Now, I'm not touching this down here because, again, as a trend trader, I'm waiting for the trend to be bullish. That all happened in a day. But this is what you want to see if you're bullish Sol. You want to see USDC prints on Sol. You want to see crazy headlines happen on Sol. And ultimately this year, the one thing to watch for, if Sol gets an ETF and Sol comes out of the gate hot on flows, ETH is in some serious trouble. That's all I got for this one today. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.